jumps out, puts her hands on her hips, says, "You talking to me?"
She didn't say
Absolutely.
that.
I've spoken to you one time, and I get the impression that you can come across as being confronting.
So the first problem we heard about was, hang on, Pierre, Duncan, the guy's gone out with diggers and is actually digging all the trees on your driveway. Titirangi has this kind of hippie feeling, and there's all the West Side thing happening, but it's actually a really amazing neighborhood to be in.
Pierre and Duncan are now domiciled in France. Their neighbours in Paris are très bien, but there's a problem with their neighbour in Titirangi, and that means Pierre has had to come halfway around the world to deal with it. The neighbour in question, Dan, is renovating Unit 2, which is adjacent to Pierre and Duncan's sleep-out. But Dan's elaborate works have also extended to areas behind the block of units and in front, on the common areas.
It's cross-lease land, and you need to have basically the approval of all the other owners.
Pierre and Duncan say the neighbours' removal of trees in front of their sleep-out has impacted on the property's privacy. And what's more, the holes left by the absent trees are a risk to their tenants' kiddies playing on the right-of-way.
So basically a kid could easily fall into that. And I don't know if you see how deep it is, but it's the same on the other side of the driveway. That's just unsafe to me.
Alarmed at the holes dug on the driveway, Pierre and Duncan started some digging of their own, looking into property records.
He was claiming everywhere, it's my house, I can do whatever I want. But after doing a bit of digging, we found out when we went to the council, he wasn't actually on the title. He wasn't like the rightful owner of the property. So that's when we thought he was pushing it a bit too far.
But Pierre was about to discover just how far Dan the neighbour had pushed.
Then we found out that he's actually physically assaulted our tenant. The tenant had been pushed to the fence and yelled at, and those words were, "Why don't you, go inside you and die." Basically, she ended up on the ground. And that's when she called the police. So imagine a woman here with a kid next door and a guy that's taller than me, like maybe 6'2" or 6'3", that goes like rah at her, rah, and telling you to go f***ing inside and die, you bitch. It's not what this country is all about, you know? A human being doing that to another human being, that's just not on. I haven't actually physically met him or talked to him, but I've just spoken with our tenant, and the whole neighborhood around our property is that it's just the bullies that's been bullying his way around.
We met Pierre's neighbour Dan. He was happy to down tools for a chat, but didn't want to show his face.
He's never done the courtesy of giving me a call or meeting with me. The instructions that I'm under now is that I'm not to ring him, that I'm to deal only with his lawyer.
But if Pierre and Dan have never met, how did this whole brouhaha ever kick off?
This is all based on their tenant. Into the driveway walks Phil and his good wife, who are the tenants right down the very end. And I says, "Hi, Phil," at which time their tenant, she jumps out, hands on hips, "You talking to me for you effing..." I went, "Woo, I'm saying hello to Phil." And she turns and looks at Phil and his wife, and she says to me, and I quote, "Are you what do you want to talk to that ugly for?" And I says, "I beg your pardon?" And she says, "You heard me, you I said to her, "I think you should just off, go inside and just die. I'm over this." And she says, "You want to make me you..." Didn't lay a finger on it. I couldn't believe it. That was just outrageous.
I couldn't even conceive anybody saying in the same sentence.
I went straight up to her face and I went, "Whoa!" And she's like, "Assault, assault." So we had the police arrive at my residence that night. They say that I had punched her in the face and dropped her to the deck.
You must have found out that Duncan and I were a gay couple as well, so you might have tried to push the gay community flag and say, "Look, she's calling me a you guys are gays, so you should be on my side, not on hers."
No, if Pierre had just come and dialogued us or texted us or emailed us and addressed these issues, it could have all been sorted out right from day one. But he's chosen to take the word of the tenant. We're still quite happy to talk to Pierre. This is just a shame that it's been soured by a real nasty witch.
Thanks to modern technology, we're bringing Paris to a not-so Glen Eden via Skype.
How you doing?
Hey, Willis, good.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Have a seat.
Thanks.
All right, everybody, welcome. Say hello. Dan, say bonjour to Pierre and Duncan.
Bonjour, Pierre. Bonjour, Duncan.
This is the first time that you guys have actually not only talked to each other, but met each other. OK, so what's the deal? Your tenant has got an issue, quite a big issue with Dan, right?
All we understand is that there was some kind of altercation.
Dan, was there? Tell me about this altercation.
Yes, I can tell you. I was there.
All right, what happened? Did you shout at her?
Yes.
What did you say?
I said, I think you should off inside and drop dead, is what I said. Prior to
you
that...
should off inside
and drop dead. That's what
now,
I said.
Dan.
That was done in a response to a situation. We were within maybe 12 feet of Pierre and Duncan's property, and their tenant, unbeknown to me, was hiding behind that corner, listening to everything that I was saying to my boy. Their tenant jumps out, puts her hands on her hips, says, "You talking to me?"
She didn't say
Absolutely.
that.
I have just taken
right,
it
then.
and taken it and taken it and taken it.
Dan's saying your tenant was horribly homophobic to him. What's your response to that?
Once again, you know, what she said to him and what he heard are totally different things. And, you know, all we can say is it's hearsay.
She accosts and abuses everyone on site.
I've spoken to you one time, and I get the impression that you can come across as being confronting.
Right, well...
That's a good point, Dan.
I think the concern for us there was our tenant was threatening to, well, basically saying she wants out of the lease.
That's why I had to fly all the way over.
You were here in New Zealand. At no time did you ever ring me or call me or make any effort to get in touch with me. What was going on there?
Why would I go and see a guy that was bullying his way around? And
As you can understand now, I never bullied anybody.
Why would I want to go into a conflict with you?
I know that you can be a bit confrontational.
I have never been confrontational. That was the first and only time, and hopefully the last time, that we will have words. Yes, she's a hassle. Yes, she's a... But if she wants to come and mouth off at me, that's fine.
Dan is willing to steer clear of Duncan and Pierre's tenant. But what about Dan's aggression towards the inanimate objects getting in his way?
There's been no issues about trees or bamboo or privet since we've owned the place. You come along, all of a sudden the bamboo's ripped out, the privet's ripped out, a big tree's gone.
We have done a massive job of tidying it all up, and we will replant it.
We don't have anything against the whole idea. What we weren't happy about is the way it got actioned.
Okay.
With both couples wanting to renovate, Dan thinks he has the solution on a piece of A4.
If I hold it there, can you see that? The drawing I've drawn is just a sketch, and the lines are bent, but you can see the commons driveway running down. We thought if you guys wanted to have exclusive use from the entire front portion of this area, and then everyone else gets the exclusive use of that stretch behind their units up the top of the page. They get exclusive use rights, each of the other units get it, and we can negotiate what shape and what size later on down the line.
All right, can we all agree on that?
Yeah, I think it's good.
I think it's a great resolution.
Can we agree that we've reached somewhat of a resolution and somewhat of a turning point tonight, guys?
Amen.
Fantastic, amen. Usually we do shake hands, but so all together I want you to put your hands on the computer. Nice one, guys. High fives.
High five.
All right, see ya.
I'm feeling very relieved and very happy with the outcome. It's really good. Hopefully we'll be able to keep the communication going this time.
I think that now we're on talking terms and that it's going towards a great resolution that everyone's going to be benefiting from, basically.